Tvameva Mata Japita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Jasaka Tvameva. Namaste and welcome, dear friends. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Cosmic Convos. I'm your host, Anya Light, and today I am very, very grateful to be joined by a guest of mine who is a mentor and a friend. His name is FRANS STIENE. He is a world-renowned Reiki master teacher. He has written a number of really fantastic books about Reiki, including The Way of Reiki and The Inner Heart of Reiki, two of my favorite books about Reiki. So today we're going to talk about some of the magic and the mysteries of Reiki, and meditation and mantra and wonderful other M words today. So without further ado, welcome, FRANS. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. It's great. Always a pleasure.
So one of the things that I was thinking about is going deeper into some of the conversations that we started in the last episode that we did together, which was last year. And I was re-listening to that talk and I was like, okay, what are some of the things that we can kind of, keep going into a little bit deeper? So one of the things that we talked about is for both of our experiences, how when we first got into the system of Reiki, it was mostly emphasized hands-on healing. And
Yes.
then we both realized, oh, there's a lot more to it, including different meditation techniques. And in actuality, meditation is the core, the foundation of what we're doing. So I'm curious, could you talk a little bit about some of your favorite, or maybe just one of your favorite meditation practices within the system of Reiki?
Yeah, and even even that within it is interesting because when we practice, for example, one of my favorite one is Joshin Kokyuho, and Joshin Kokyuho is a deep breath into the hara and then an expansion. So Joshin Kokyuho comes actually in many different ways depending on the level of the student in a way, and of course also the level of the practitioner. And because when we keep practicing, we start to realize different elements of it. Joshin means pure mind. So Joshin Kokyuho, pure mind through breathing in and out. Now, if we already look in this title, then we start to realize that we have to realize that with every breath we're breathing in and out, our mind is pure mind already. So sometimes when we do this meditation and we imagine light coming in and we bring it to the hara, and then we feel that light expanding, and then we feel it going out through our skin and into the surroundings. This is kind of beginner's level. And why is it beginner's level? Because we feel that we maybe don't have enough light. So we're breathing in this light and then we feel it expanding. And then, oh, now I have more light. And then we feel it already going out. And so, oh, now around me is becoming brighter and brighter or bigger and bigger. And so we feel we accumulate more light, expanding more light. And that is, in a way, is great. It's a beginner's level. And that could mean 10 years practice. So,
Mhm. Just as a
but
quick,
then it needs to,
just as
yeah.
a quick for beginners, they might not know what the hara is. What is the hara?
So it's a focus point just below your belly button. And why is it there? Because that's our center. If you look at your body, it's the center of your body. If you look at the middle point, and often we say to ourselves, oh, we may feeling off center, or we're not balanced, we feel ungrounded. So when we work with this center just below our navel, then that really helps us to ground ourselves, to center ourselves so that we don't get bowled over by life so quickly. And is very important because these days we so in our head, specifically the phones, internet,
Yeah.
social media. So therefore, really being in our body. We also talk about embodiment of Reiki. It doesn't say enheadment, right? It says embodiment, what means with our whole body, with our whole being. So Joshin Kokyuho, beginner's level, is really that we feel we're accumulating more energy or more light. And then over time, we need to realize that with every breath we take, there is already pure mind, but we just don't see it. That it's not about accumulating more energy or that we make this space bigger, that actually our essence is already complete. So then the meditation starts to really practice and change. And then it becomes very easy to take this Joshin Kokyo, this pure mind through breathing, into our daily life, because every moment we breathe, right? There's no moment we don't breathe. So that every moment in everything we do, in every action we do, that there is a state of pure mind. And then what is this pure mind? Is not being distracted by past, present, future, for example. It's the pure mind of the precepts. So the embodiment of the precepts. So it means the pure mind of no anger, no worry, being grateful, being true to our inner being, and being compassionate. And the pure mind also of more that seeing things in a more interconnected state and seeing things more in a non-dualistic state.
Yeah.
They all sound a bit different, but actually they're all one and the same thing.
Mhm. So Joshin Kokyuho, for you, was it a practice that you did every single day for many years? Do you still do it every day? I'm
I
just
still
curious.
do it. Yeah, but of course it has changed, right? So in the
Yeah.
beginning, it was very much because I felt in the beginning for myself, I didn't realize this expansion. So for example, if I look out my window, I've got a really big window here. It's cloudy and we say there is no sun, right? And then when the clouds part, we say, oh, there is more sun. There's more sunlight. But that is not really the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is that there's not suddenly more sunlight, right? The sun is not saying, now I'm going to have a little bit more sunlight on France. No,
Yeah.
the sun is already complete. It's already bright. It's just that we don't see it because of the clouds. So in the beginning of our practice, we don't see of the clouds that our mind already today is pure already. And therefore, we think we have to accumulate light. Therefore, we think we have to expand it. We have to kind of work hard to do something. And then through practice, we start to realize actually that is not really the case at all. It's just that I don't focus on what I have. What do we have already? Pure mind. What do we have already? This luminosity. We have that already right now. And this, again, Mikasui points out so beautiful in the precepts that are behind me in Japanese. And it says today. Mikasui doesn't say, oh, in 10 years' time, or in 15 years' time, or at the end of your life. Mikasui said, today, you already have this pure mind. But because we always focus on the clouds of our anger, of our frustration, of our attachment, of our worries, of our fears, that we don't see it. We don't see what we have already.
I think that's really comforting and relieving because then it's not something that we have to strive for or like try to
Yeah.
get. It's not stressful in that way. It's more peaceful. It's like, oh yeah, I just need to remember what's already there, which is kind of a relaxing thought to have. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is it. So thank you for saying that, because this in itself, that knowledge already relaxes us. Because if I think I have to strive for it, I have to work really hard for it, that one day maybe I get it, right? I have expanded enough. And here's also an interesting thing, Anya, is that when we have the idea that we have to expand, then automatically we can also contract, right?
opposite. Yeah. Hmm.
It's the opposite. So then when have I expanded enough? when do I have enough light? Is that in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time? When does this come? And then maybe for a few months I don't practice due to something, and I'm like, oh, I've already tapped in so much light, and now I've been practicing, and I stopped practicing, and so now my light is diminishing again. Because if I can increase it, I can also diminish it. But if we realize that it is already whole, like the sun, and this is why in all of these traditional spiritual teachings, we see the symbology of the sun and the moon. They're already whole, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And it's a reminder too, in a way, for some of my viewers, and this has been my journey too. Um, it's kind of a side note from Reiki, but I mean, I think one of the reasons that people can take something that could be potentially beautiful, for example, like a plant medicine ceremony. Maybe people do sometimes use that for really, well, they do use it for very healing purposes. Like, nowadays, people, more and more people are talking about the effects of using like ayahuasca for healing trauma and different like medicines that take you to higher states of consciousness. But the downside often it can be with these things is people get addicted to those experiences. They're like, oh, I'm going
Yeah.
so high. They don't realize that, you can often like crash back down to, perceiving that you're lower later. So I think
Yeah.
with meditation practices like this, it's a consistent sort of realization of, oh, I'm already here. Oh, I've already arrived, like here. Like I don't
Yeah.
need to go up super high to have, it's just more of a balanced, grounded approach.
Yeah, because if we can go high, we can go low, right? So
Exactly.
if we really think about it, for example, if I can take away layers, then I can also add layers. Like a lot of people, when we talk about it, oh, I'm going to take away my layers. But the more I take away the layers and finally I see this light, and then maybe we don't practice or something else happens, and then automatically we feel we've taken on more layers. And you can see this often. I get a lot of people, they say, oh, when I first started to practice Reiki, I could really feel it, but now I can't feel it anymore. I don't have it anymore. And this is because we first of say, I don't have it, now I have it. And then, of course, we can also say, now I don't have it. So this is also when we have to be very careful when we say, I'm switching Reiki on. So some people say, okay, now I'm connected to the universe. So now I'm on, and therefore that means now I'm off, right?
Yeah, I get
Or
that.
now I'm not connected. But
Yeah.
I always say, this is one of the first questions I ask in my classes. And I ask everybody, how or what do you have to do to touch the universe? And some go like this, some go like that, some go like this, some go like, some go, we don't have to do anything. I said,
Hmm.
because we are already touching the universe 100%.
All
If
the
you really think about it, we are already touching inside and outside the universe 100%. And this is right now. And so the practices, all of these traditional practices, help us to realize what is happening right now, not in the future, because the future we don't know is very uncertain. I might not wake up tomorrow morning and we might laugh about it, but these things happen, right? It's very easy. So we don't know. So all of these teachings say right now, it's already here. But again, right now, in my case, it's cloudy. And I say right now, the sun is not shining. But that is a mistaken viewpoint, because right now the sun is shining. I just don't see it because of the clouds. But in my mind, I can say, oh, yeah, beyond the clouds. Takes me 1 second by plane to go through it. Ta-da, there's the sun. So if we start to work from that perception, then already, as you said, we can relax.
exactly.
And when we relax, already we already feel this more spaciousness because we're relaxing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes. Yeah, I too love Joshin Kokyuho. I practice it a lot, frequently, sometimes multiple times in a single day. I especially enjoy it as a kind of energy cleanser when I'm out and about in public, or if I've given a big class with a lot of people, or there's just a lot of commotion in my day. It like really settles me down and makes me feel like I'm coming back into this peaceful state inside of myself. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that one up. And actually, you're on the International House of Reiki, which you are a co-founder of that website, the International House of Reiki website, which I'll link to in the description below. Um, you actually have an old blog post, and it gives like a step-by-step, not old, but it was published a while ago, step-by-step of how to practice Joshin Kokyuho. And that was the first time that I really connected with the practice. Because before that, I'd heard of it and I'd heard other people describe how to do it, but so it didn't really click. And then I read your description of it and your translation of what it meant, clear mind through breathing. I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like, I get it. So your help was instrumental for me in really going into that practice. So I thank you for that. And I'll link to that blog post in the description for people if they're new to it. So, because I know a lot of students don't necessarily learn that in their training. So,
Absolutely. Some people in Reiki, they only learn external hands-on healing. I've met people, they say hands-on healing on yourself. What are you talking about?
right.
So they even don't learn that. They don't even learn the precepts in a lot of the classes. They just handed a piece of paper and they go like, whoa, wow, wow, just stick it there. Or so,
Yeah.
but they are actually the essential element because due to Joshin Kokyuho, when we do hands-on healing with a pure mind, our hands-on healing is very different than if we do hands-on healing from a state of attachment, worries, fears, anger, etc., or being distracted by the past or the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So that actually brings me to my next inquiry for you. So something I've noticed, and I'd love to just get your frank opinion on this. So with a lot of my students, their motivation can be this growing, and on the one hand, this is good. They're starting to see that they affect the universe, that their presence, their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, it affects things around them.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's important. That's an aspect of what you just said. We're always touching the universe. On the other hand, there can be this sort of ego uh grasping of, oh, because I can affect the universe, that means that I can manifest anything I want. I can manifest millions of dollars, and if I'm not manifesting millions of dollars, there must be something wrong with me. What am I doing wrong? So this
Yeah.
manifestation movement is a big deal right now, and um I find it interesting that it brings people to Reiki sometimes, but also feel a bit confused sometimes as how to convey to students, especially like level one, like, okay, so when you do hands-on healing for yourself, you're not making a checklist to the universe, like, I want this and this and this and this, to be more of like reaching for those higher spiritual aims rather than I want a new car or something. So how do you talk to students in trainings, classes, sessions about when they do hands-on healing for themselves, um, what are they really doing? And this ties into the magic, the word magic portion of this interview. I wanted to talk about that because again, students kind of are like, oh, this is this magic trick I can use to manifest things.
Yeah.
But what's the deeper self-healing understanding, Franz?
So, I mean, this is why the precepts are so important. You know, for me, this is really the beginning of the system of Reiki, but also the outcome. So I teach this already in Reiki 1, the precepts. So do not anger, do not worry, be grateful, be true to your way and your being, and show compassion to yourself and others. And the more we do hands-on healing, then we feel that it softens our anger, it softens our worry, it it increases in a way our gratefulness, our compassion and kindness. Why? Because we're going from this being really tight to more open, right? If I have a lot of worry or anger, or if I have a need for something, right? Like this, I want a car, I want money, I want, and if you really look at it already, is the culprit is I, me, mine. I want this, and the universe has to give it to me. Well, let's face it, the universe is not sitting there going, let me give a Ferrari to France. Of course not. This comes from our own state of mind, right? And so if I want something, then I'm really like this. I want something. And then if I don't get it, as you say, then we think the practice is not working, or the universe is not kind to me, or you name it. So we blame a lot of other things. So, but in this way, I can't even receive. Impossible. If I want to receive, I have to open my hand. So I have to be grateful. What does this mean? First of all, grateful for what you have right now. In reality, if we look at the world situation, particularly in America, Holland, Europe, Australia, we are lucky. We are pretty well off. We don't need anything else, right? But I want, I want, I want, I want. So it's really, as you say, it's the ego, I, me, mine. And then we become very tight. So better to practice, first of all, for ourselves, that we can relax, become more open-minded. And the more open-minded we are, then automatically things can come. But when then things don't come, we're also not upset by it. And when things go, we're also not upset by it. Because in an open hand, things can come and things can go. So now we actually have set ourselves free. So this is a really important element because, yeah, I mean, mine, if we start to already practice a spiritual practice like this, then we only emphasize I, me, mine, and then we become more and more and more tight like this. And when I'm more and more tight like this, is my energy flowing or not? No, absolutely not. Then if something else happens in my life, I become only more and more tight. And therefore, when we open our mind, we open the body, we open the energy, we feel more, and then things will come all by itself. Not because the universe says so, because of your mind, right? Your state of mind is the most important. And this is also what we see in the precepts. It all talks about a state of mind. It doesn't talk about the flow of energy. It doesn't talk about specific healing. It doesn't talk about the universe. It's a state of mind. So, for example, if you walk in town and you walk always like this, and then you go, I'm always feeling lonely, no one is talking to me. Of course not, because who wants to talk to a person who is all like grumpy and not kind to people? If you go to the supermarket and you behave like that, then the lady or the guy in the cash register is not going to say, Good morning, Mr. Franz. But if I'm open and I go, Hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And the next time you come again, and then they go, Hi, how are you? Because they remember you because you had this open spaciousness. Therefore, things can come your way.
I love that.
And this is a really important element. So in a way, the more we give, the more we can receive. And why do we need to give more? Because to give, I need to open my hand. So the more I give love, the more I give compassion. Maybe I give things, physical things, kindness. Maybe I give away this glass or this little bell I have here. But that actually helps me to open up. So in a lot of old ancient practices, you would visualize giving away things. You give away your house, ultimately you give away your body in the visualization to help you to in that open space, then automatically can receive.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if we're too focused on what can I get, then it closes us down into that tense.
Yeah,
And it's kind of ironic in a way because what I've noticed in my practice is sometimes when people come to me with like health issues that are very specific, like, okay, I want to heal my painful knee or heal this autoimmune disease or whatever it is, and they're really like in like dead set on healing that specific thing. Sometimes they don't really fully, I can feel they're not really fully receiving the energy because they're so
yeah,
like focused on what their intention is. And
yeah,
sometimes when people come to me and they don't even have a specific intention for the session, I'm like, hey, what do you what are you here for? And they're like, I just want to be healed. And it's like just open, like there's no specific goal or outcome that they want to see. Those are the sessions that go really super deep, and people just have these amazing, beautiful, heart opening experiences. So it's kind of funny because it's like, yeah, just being open to whatever happens. That seems to be the way. That's or the way of.
yeah. In a way, a bit contradictory to how we see also illness, eh? Because this is what we do when we have an illness. We try to fight it. And by fighting it, I'm already like this. Eh? I fight the illness. And then there is this struggle going on. But in fact, also very traditionally, we have to be, for example, that's again why the precepts are so important. We have to be grateful for the illness. So, for example, in Japan and in certain Buddhist traditions, they say an illness is actually the clearing up of your karma. So you have to be grateful for the illness because now it's finally out. And then when it's out, then it's done. And then even if you die, then it's done. Then in your next life, you don't have that karma anymore. So therefore, it's about embracing the illness, or sometimes even saying becoming one with the illness. Because when you realize this oneness with the illness, again, then there is no I and the illness. There is no two separate things. So the I softens. And when the I softens, I am sick, I'm unhealthy, I am unhappy. So the I is like this. And when the I softens already, we open up. And therefore, already there is more energy, there is more spaciousness for this illness or dis-ease to let go. But the more I try to fight an illness, is not going to work. We all know this. It's a very great example. Say you live in your house and you hear music outside. Someone is having a very loud radio on. The more I try to fight it, the more irritated I become, right? I close the window and then it's like I still can hear it. Now I close the curtains. It's not helping either. I put earplugs in it. It's not helping either. But when I embrace it, then already the problem softens. The music might still be there, but because I embrace it, I'm not fighting it anymore. So again, it's this open, the open hand. And this is a thing we can ask ourselves every moment of the day, in every kind of situation. Am I like this or am I like that? Am I like this or am I like that?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. And going back to meditation within the system of Reiki, you brought up, with the noise factor, some people will say, I can't meditate right now. It's too noisy where I am.
Mm,
And then realizing as you keep practicing that you can be anywhere and meditate. You can be in a busy, crowded store or something, and you can still
yeah.
be doing your practice. Um, so yeah, do you have any advice for perhaps beginners in Reiki, um, for just, do you notice any things that people usually say that block their meditation practice, such as other than the sound or things that excuses or just confusions and that you could help them to move beyond?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing is where people think that meditation means having no thoughts, but that is absolutely not the case at all. It's not the thoughts what are the problem. It's us clinging to the thoughts. So one of the things I often use in Rei Suzuki's teaching, he was a very famous Zen master, and he gave this teaching, and I use it a lot for myself as well. Again, it's a little bit like, is your hand open or closed? And it's, you leave the front door open and the back door open. So front door open, back door open. The thought comes in through the front door, comes out through the back door, but in the middle, don't serve the thoughts tea. And so this is, again, in a way, with our illness or with the sound, the sound comes in from the neighbors. If we just let it come in and out, no problem. But if we give it tea, for example, this is annoying, I don't like it, it's too loud, naughty neighbors, I'm not happy with it. Now we're giving this thought tea.
Nice.
So it's the same in meditation practice. Thoughts are okay, but don't give it tea. To counteract that, we give it tea, we focus on our breathing, we focus on our body posture, we might focus on a mantra, we might focus on a symbol. So when we focus on the breathing or on a mantra, then very becomes easier not to give the thought tea because we focus on something different. And now we're training our mind not to constantly grasp these thoughts, not to constantly give these thoughts tea. I know we all have had that where you can't sleep and this one thought keeps going round and round and round the whole night and it just keeps you awake. So here, very classic example that we give these thoughts tea a lot of time. But if we then say, okay, hang on, realize, first of all, you have to realize I'm giving the thought tea. Now we can use a method or a practice to soften this tea giving element. So what do? Again, we focus on something different, a mantra, body posture. If you practice yoga, an asana, or if you do Tai Chi, a body movement, or a mantra. And there, if we do this enough, now we're training our mind to grasp these thoughts less and less and less. And then automatically these thoughts dissolve faster and faster by themselves.
Yeah. One thing that comes up for my students a lot is they get actually afraid, and I remember being this way too many years of, well, what happens if I just can't think anymore? It's almost like they're afraid of breaking their brain. Like, well,
Yeah.
I need my thoughts. They're important. Like, what am I just going to be like a vegetable, like just staring off into space all the time? Like, so what is your thoughts on the creative or the intentional use of the thoughts, and how can the thoughts be beneficial when we do choose to have them?
I mean, but therefore, meditation is not about having no thoughts. Because if I sit here and I need to go to the bathroom, I still need to have the thought to go to the bathroom,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, but what do we do? Then you just stand up, go to the bathroom, and it's done, right? Problem solved. But normally we have this thought and we grasp this thought and we hold on to it for a day, for 2 days, for the rest of our life. And then we stay angry, then we stay worried, then we stay fearful, and that is not beneficial. So most of our problems really comes from a few different things. And this is why meditation means traditionally familiarizing. So the word meditation, familiarizing ourselves with that we already pure, that we already whole, that we already have this pure mind. And in this pure mind, automatically there's no grasping, right? Because in this pure mind, the I has dissolved. Or if we want to even take it further, we realize that there is no I in the first place. So then a thought comes up, we act upon it, if it's a thought we need to act upon, and then the next moment, we let it go. So still, we stay in this freedom space, in this open spaciousness, instead of the thought comes up. If it's a thought about the past, no need to grasp it. right? Of course, I was booking a hotel yesterday and today, and I'd stayed in his hotel before. So, of course, I have to go to the past in a way to think about what was the hotel. So I took it, looked it up. There it is. I can let go. I don't have to bring and keep that memory of this hotel in my mind. But this is what we normally do. We keep the memory of something, most of the time, something what bad happened in our past, and we keep this in our mind all the time. We carry it like this. We cling to it like this. And then during the day, we repeat this. Yeah, but this person did this 10 years ago. I know this really nice guy, and he keeps repeating himself during the day that he has an illness and that he's sick. So he's constantly reaffirming that he's sick. And therefore, I say to him, man, this is an example I told him the other day. He doesn't practice any meditation or something. I just know him from the local neighborhood, and we were walking around on this festival. I said, okay, if you plant an apple seed, what do you get? And I said, I get apples. Okay, you don't get bananas, right? No, you don't get bananas. And if you plant a pineapple seed, what do you get? You get pineapples. Okay, so you don't get apples. No, okay, so that's settled, easy. I said, so if you keep planting the whole day, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, what are you getting?
Like,
It's actually it's actually very, very simple. And this is what we reaffirm. If I'm constantly bringing the past in the present moment, I don't live in the present moment. I don't know how to enjoy the present moment because I'm always focusing on the past. And then we wonder why in 10 weeks' time, I'm still having an issue with the past. Why? Because you've been planting the past issue all the time. So therefore, when we focus on our breathing is not in the past, right? We don't have past breath. We also don't have future breath. Our breath is right here in the present moment. We focus on our breathing. We focus on our body. Our body is also not in the past. Our body is also not in the future. So in all of these meditation practices, we focus on the present moment. In the present moment, we can let go, therefore, of the past, of the future, and then we plant present momentness. And then we can maintain this more and more and more into our daily life. Why? Because we're planting that all the time. But if I'm constantly planting, also, if I look at, I want something, this is in the future, constant planting in the future, then again, I'm not living in the present moment. So therefore, don't expect in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time to have an enjoyable, fun present moment because you've been planting futureness.
mm, I love that. Yeah, we're planting present momentness by being in the present moment every time we do it. We
Yeah.
are reinforcing that way of being, which then does in the future create more present momentness. So, but being in, yeah, not even thinking about that, just being in the present. I love that. That's really beautiful, Franz. Thank you so much for that.
I mean, the precepts say exactly the same. So, for example, we see do not worry. So, if I planned worry today, don't think that in the next few days that you are worry free because you're planting worry. So, therefore, Mikusui says also, Mikusui doesn't say in the future or in 10 weeks' time. Mikusui said today. So, today, planned gratefulness, planned compassion, planned kindness. Don't plant worry, don't plant anger,
Yeah.
because that is what you get,
Yeah.
right? So it's exactly, we see this very much in the precepts.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you. Okay, so switching gears here, we in our first wonderful conversation last year, you started to talk a little bit about sound vibration. You said that the voice is this bridge between the mind and the body.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, are there any mantras that you practice frequently that you could recommend within the system of Reiki? And maybe there's just like symbols, or the name of the symbols is the mantras, or there's other mantras that you use that really are potent to bring that present moment awareness, that link between the mind and the body.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the most important and fun thing to practice is the precepts as a mantra. So, in some schools, and there's nothing wrong with this, in some schools they say, oh, you have just repeat the precepts 3 times in the morning or 3 times in the evening, and that's it. But we all know this is not enough, right? Is not enough. If that would be enough, then here in Amsterdam, I would give everybody in Amsterdam a sheet of paper with the precepts. And I said, please, everybody, read it 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening. And then there will be no more anger, no more worry, and everybody's being grateful and everybody's compassionate. If it was that easy and magical, we all know this is not the truth. So therefore, we need to work with it in a different way. And for example, I chant precepts. Sometimes I do it for 45 minutes. And then you chant it. So it's not really reciting. So reciting is also slightly different. Reciting is kind of really up here. Reciting is where we, for example, I'm doing it in Japanese, is Gyo Rakewa Ikarona Shimpai Suna Kanche Shita Gyo Hakame Hitoni Sensetsuni. And I'm reciting. But if I'm chanting it from my core, from my center, from my hara. And this is done in many traditions in Japan. If you go and travel to Japan, you go to the temples, you hear the Heart Sutra being chanted, you hear lots of different mantras. So you take a deep breath and then you really focus. So again, you be really focused. Yodakewa karuna shinpai suna kansha shite gyo akeme ito ni senzetsu ni. And that in itself is the difference between reciting and chanting. And even now, when I just recited it once, I feel this tremendous warmth. I feel this openness. I feel this inner blissfulness. I feel this vibration going through my whole body, not just up here, but I can feel it from my toes to my crown. And of course, with vibration, we all know it shakes things loose. Like where I lived in Australia, you had roads, what they call corrugated iron roads. They're like dirt roads, and they have like little bubble bumps in it. So if you drive on it like for hours, the mirrors fall off your car, everything, all the nuts and bolts loosen up, your teeth fall out of your mouth like this, right? So so when we do this chanting, all the things we hold tight, we can let go of. And of course, when we chant, and I know some people say, yeah, but I don't know Japanese. I don't speak Japanese either. But therefore, actually, it might be easier in a way. And why is this? Because then we have to really focus to do it correctly. And when we really have to focus, automatically we're not thinking about the past. Automatically, we're not thinking about the future. Automatically, we plant that nowness. Automatically, we're right here, right in the present moment. And so, therefore, we planting and training into being focused, being present, being right here. And because we do the deep breathing, we're in our body. Meditation is not an escape out of your body, because if I do this, if I only can do it on my meditation mat or pillow or on a massage table, it's not enough, because I need to bring no anger, no worry, being grateful, being true to my way of being, and being compassionate in my daily life. This is where it really counts. And this is also, again, why Mikasui has the word today. Mikasui didn't say on your meditation pillow or on your Reiki table, but in today, in all the actions we do.
Yeah, thank you. Is there a short, like maybe tiny bit of what you just chanted, or something else that you could practically teach my viewers in this moment in Japanese, like even just one word, like a mantra that they could just get started with, that they could bring into their practice?
Yeah, if you listen correctly, you hear 5 vowels in the precepts. It's A, O, U, A, E. Yo, da, ke, wa, I, ka. Yeah, so you really hear it. So A, O, U, A, E traditionally in Japan is interlinked with the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. And sometimes we all know that we feel a bit too airy or too spacey. Sometimes we are not grounded or centered enough. Sometimes we have too much fire. We get really angry. Our face becomes red or worried, like this. So very simple, we can chant A, O, U, A, E. And this is done in also old Japanese practices. Most important is that you open your mouth, so not like this, or like this, it's a bit mumbling, and that you do the deep breathing and that you stay focused. So if I chanted like this, it's not going to work, right? So we sit straight, you do a deep breath, what means if you're breathing in, you have a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly, that this is hardly moving, but the hand on your belly is moving. You use your diaphragm, nice. Focus on your hara, just below your belly button, that center point, that focus point. Aoi, aoi. Again, a deep in breath into your belly. Aoi, aoi, aoi. 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 Aoi, aoi, aoi.
Thank you. Mm, wonderful. I bet people will be able to get started on that right away.
Yeah,
I
and it sounds like a very simple practice, but actually, if you keep practicing, it has really profound benefit in it because it really harmonizes these 5 elements within your body. And also that vibration loosens everything up. And also important that after it, we sit in silence for a little bit and feel that resonance. It's a little bit like this when I hit this. And now I stop, but I still feel that vibration. So this is the chanting. And then afterwards, we just relax and stay in that vibrational open spaciousness so that we keep recognizing this wide open vibrational spaciousness.
Mhm. Yeah, the sound after.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, and one more very important element, we don't chant to become pure mind, we chant to realize that our essence is already pure mind right now.
Yes.
Or in other words, we don't chant to become the light, because becoming is something in the future, but it's about realizing that from conception, we already have been the light. It's just obscured by the clouds of ignorance, of worry, of fear, anger, I, me, mine.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Uh, so we're starting to come towards the close of our conversation. And this was a question that was submitted to me by a fellow Reiki teacher because she knew we were going to chat, and she offered this query. So we're talking about sound vibration here, and both her and myself, we use different sound, chanting, singing, different instruments, music, like recorded music, different sound elements within Reiki healing sessions that we offer to other people. And we were curious, are there other like methods or tools, different spiritual things that you incorporate sometimes into your healing sessions that you offer to other people that might not necessarily be recognized as, within the toolkit of Reiki, that is just something that works for you, that you've incorporated?
Um, Rarely, but sometimes I do, not so much in a class, but definitely maybe in a Reiki retreat, or if I work with some students, then I might teach them some meditation practices or mantras or special practices what come from Japanese esoteric teachings, and what is kind of the mother of Reiki in a way, right? Mikasui didn't just come up with something. Mikasui was practicing Japanese esoteric teachings. It's very clearly visible within the system of Reiki. And so what was very common in Mikasui's time to simplify those teachings, because traditionally there was a very strict teacher-student relationship that took years and years and years, very small, most of the time just personalized. And in Mikasui's time, there was a movement to break that open, and so that more people didn't have to become a monk or a nun, but actually just a farmer or a shopkeeper or whoever could practice these teachings. So to start to simplify it. So for example, the Reiki 3 symbol and mantra, if you look at that, it can be translated as great bright light, but it can also be translated as great light mantra. And the great light mantra in Japanese is Onabokya Beroshano Makabadara Mani Handamajin Barahara Varitaya Un. So it's a mantra. And so sometimes in retreats, I might teach that as an example where Mikasui took his teachings from.
Oh, I love that. So thank you. Because sometimes I stumble with my words trying to explain to my students where Mikasui got all, it's like, yes, on the one hand, he probably did have this mystical experience of going up into the mountain and getting this vision. Also, yeah, he lived a life before that and had influences
Yeah.
that came in. So as I loved how you put it, so it's Japanese esoteric teachings. That's a great phrase that helps me to summarize that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for example, the second symbol, what we use in the system of Reiki, it came actually in a little bit elaborate way from a Japanese symbol, what you see in Japan everywhere. You see it in restaurants, you see it in graveyards, you see it in temples, you see it in people's houses. We draw it slightly differently because at that time of Mikasui, and this is where we have to look, and Mikasui lived in a particular time, he didn't live in the present moment. In that particular time, there was a lot of illiterate people. They didn't know how to write or do this elaborate calligraphy. So Mikasui took a very simple way of writing this elaborate calligraphy in a simple way, and that's how we now use the symbol. But the elaborate way is still being used by monks and nuns in Japan, or by priests or priestesses. And so therefore we can see the heritage where Mikasui took these kind of from. First mantra, Chokorei, is used by a lot of different practices within Japanese spiritual teachings, meaning actually straight spirit or direct spirit. And what it's actually saying is that straight now, direct now, we are ready pure mind, not tomorrow, not in 10 years' time, but straight, right, here in the now.
Yes. Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to add about the system of Reiki that you feel is in your heart that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, really, we often look for magic, right? And the magic already is really inside of you. Sometimes we, in certain traditions in Japan, they call it the wish fulfilling gem. And really, what is this is not that your wish is going to be fulfilled, but what is the biggest wish is ultimately that we remember our great bright light. Yeah, because ultimately we all want to be happy and healthy. And that is not in a Ferrari or having lots of money, because I know lots of people who have a Ferrari and who have lots of money, and bloody hell, they are not happy, right? They actually are more worried about the Ferrari. They go, is it still there? Is it still there? Oh, I hope it doesn't get damaged. Oh, it's raining. Oh, bad. Like this. Go like, holy man, you actually bought worry instead of a nice car. So, so it's not, is really the magic is inside of you. And how do we really realize it is by practicing these meditation practices.
Amen. Oh, thank you. Well, it's been wonderful to talk with you today, Franz. As always,
Thank
I
you.
feel very illuminated by our conversation. I feel like I can go deeper in my practice now in a very grounded way. So for everyone watching, please check out Franz's website, International House of Reiki, and one of his many books on Reiki. They're all fantastic and really just practical and lovely. So yeah, thank you so much. And I wish all of you to have a very peaceful day full of compassion and generosity, free from worry and anger. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandhu Chasaka Twameva Twameva Vidya Dravinam Twameva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Devam Om